You smoke weed? No, I don't, but I appreciate weed smokers' solidarity in making this the most upvoted comment by far. What's up, I'm Gallardo, but if you clicked on this video, I'm hoping that you already know that, otherwise you're wasting your time. Life is short, but don't make it shorter, so be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous. I just want to say thank you all for getting the channel to 50,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me, and the life that this channel has been able to afford me is incredible, to say the least. Being a full-time YouTuber with 50,000 subscribers, if I could just keep doing this for the next 5 years, and if the channel didn't grow at all, and if things just stayed the same, I would be perfectly happy with that. It really is a blessing to be able to make a living off of YouTube, working for myself and just talking about bikes and getting all of you guys on bikes. Without further ado, I asked you guys to ask me anything, so you did. Let's get started with the AMA. Any tricks you can do on a fixed gear? I can only track stand. I would like to learn how to wheelie and at least fish and chips though. How much gay do you are? I'm not gay, I'm just a hipster that can't grow a beard. You could even say I'm straight. Is that the politically correct term? Oh, it is. I'm straight. Fixed gears only, yes. Clipless pedals, yes. Or do you even rollerblade? I cannot rollerblade to save my life. Why do you wear jeans and button shirts to ride and not something more sporty? It's versatile, I'm comfortable both on the bike and off the bike. That's what I like to wear. I've never been given a good enough reason to wear anything sportier. Just because a shirt is a button-up shirt doesn't mean it's fancy or anything. I like to wear linen shirts. I'll go into detail why in a separate video, stay tuned for that. Can you describe your college experience? What were you studying, why'd you choose it? Also, what do you like most about places where you used to live? SF, SD, Sacramento, and I guess we could add Taiwan onto that. College for me was fine. I don't think that it was necessary though, and if I could redo my college experience, I would rather have $30,000 in my pocket than a college degree. I studied communication and marketing, and honestly, while I do use it for this channel, it's not $30,000 worth, and most of what I'm doing for my career is completely self-learned. I chose communication and marketing because ever since I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to be a YouTuber once this became a job. I actually didn't want to go to college because I don't need a degree for what I'm doing. And on top of that, college has the opportunity cost of all of that money and all of that time spent being in college that I could have spent working on this channel instead. But my parents throughout my entire life made a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to get a degree, so I went and got something that was at least related to what I wanted to do on YouTube. As for the places that I used to live, SF, the weather is awesome, there's lots of things to do, it's crazy expensive though, and the traffic dictates what you do. If it's 5 o'clock in rush hour, it takes a lot to muster up to get out of the house and sit in gridlock traffic just to go grab a slice of pizza. Living in SF, you start to feel a lot of pride. The smug, as South Park calls it, because it's such an influential place as far as culture goes, especially for fixed gears. Sacramento, I like that my family is there and that it's not crazy expensive as far as California goes, but there's not much to do. SD is in between. It's not quite as crazy expensive as San Francisco. There's lots to do, from hiking and surfing and biking, and they also got a velodrome, which is a plus, and the weather is always awesome in SD. Sorry about that. The rain really started to pick up out of nowhere. That's the thing that I really don't like about Taiwan. It'll be sunny one moment, then out of nowhere, just a torrential downpour will come upon you. But so far, I think Taiwan is my favorite place to live. There's lots to do. It's a very dense city, which makes it very convenient to just roll out of bed and go do something. And people here are the friendliest that I've met anywhere. It's really easy to make friends and go out on group events. Last weekend I took a surfing trip with a group of people that I hardly knew. And now we homies, so Taiwan is great. It's our biggest goal in life at the moment. I'm trying to be more self-disciplined. I want to be able to write a schedule hour for hour and be able to follow it to a T and get more of my work done. Do you have a dream job? I do. This is it. Do you deal with mental health? If so, how does biking help? Any tips? I do deal with mental health issues, or at least I should say I used to. I was diagnosed with depression in 2014. First started with counseling, and while that helped to set the foundation for having a healthy mind, for me at least, I found that medication was really helpful. And if you find that you're in that boat where you see that you're living a balanced life, you have goals and aspirations and you're working to achieve them, and you have friends and family and a lot of loved ones that you can talk to, but you still feel down. I was in that boat, And if you think that you are too, I highly recommend talking to a doctor, a psychiatrist, and seeing if mental health medication is the right step for you. It was really helpful for me. After 2 years, I stopped taking it and my mood is completely stable and I feel normal. Although it may not seem like it when you're in the middle of it. It's a very dark and lonely place to be. I hope that my story can serve as a glimmer of hope that there is a way out. Cycling does help, but don't treat cycling or any one thing as the cure-all for depression. Depression is something that unfortunately at this point in time, we don't understand all too well, but the incredible thing is we know how to treat it. And it may take some trial and error, but there is treatment that is right for you. And cycling can certainly be a part of it, as it was for me. I'm a roadie, however, I built a Fixie recently and was wondering if you have any advice on how to get used to and comfortable with the fact that my cranks don't stop spinning. You just keep pedaling. You get used to it. It would be helpful if you could exclusively ride your fixed gear for, say, 2 weeks. That way, always pedaling will become second nature. Do you have any experience with mountain biking? I started off riding a mountain bike that was about 3 sizes too small for me on the street. I don't think that counts as mountain biking though. And would you do an off-road fixed gear build? I used to ride an all-city Nature Boy with 38C tires, and I rode it off-road. Favorite and least favorite handlebar style. My favorite, I'd probably have to say risers, just they're fun. Least favorite handlebar style. As cool as they look, track drops. Favorite bike memory, it could be good or bad. I'm gonna have to say the Walmart Fixie metric century that I did is the stupidest and at the same time the most ambitious thing that I've ever tried on a bike. And the process of making the video was a lot of fun. And I was really happy with that video. It might be my favorite video that I made to this day. What are your thoughts on the Throne Phantom? Throne is a company that really caters to looks over function because they are aluminum and carbon frame sets. I don't recommend that because safety becomes an issue. In my mind, Throne is a little bit below Aventon. And after the whole debacle with Aventon, where they sold a frame set that was dented from the factory, I don't even trust Aventon at this point. I don't recommend it. Get a Dolan precursor. What kind of music do you listen to? Everything from jazz to R&B to metal. My favorite band is a post-hardcore band called Dance Gavin Dance from Sacramento, California, my hometown. Feel free to check them out. Have you ever done an alley cat race? I have not. Lastly, if you feel comfortable sharing this, if not, I understand, no harm done, but do you have contact with your mom? Like, is she in your life? I know it's a weird question, but I'm curious. Anyway, sorry if I sparked a fire. Metaphorically, my intention was not to remind of a loss, whether it be death or just separation in general, but to only have a question answered for educational purposes, if that makes any sense. Hopefully, I didn't get too personal. And, well, have a good long-lasting life, my friend, and keep up the great work making videos and just living in general. Take care. That was very considerate. But I do have contact with my mom. I saw her regularly when I lived in Sacramento. Now that I'm traveling around Taiwan, I still talk to her once every 2 weeks or so. I love my mom. I wouldn't be here without her. When did you start riding a bicycle? I think I was 7 years old when I started riding a Mongoose Walmart bike without training wheels for the first time. But then I started seriously cycling in 2012 when I started commuting to school via a mountain bike just because the traffic was so bad in the morning and I actually got there faster than driving would have gotten me there. What's your favorite fast food restaurant and which meal do you order there? Chick-fil-A spicy chicken deluxe sandwich with the fries and the Chick-fil-A sauce. What is the safest way to enter from the sidewalk to a road, and can I do a right turn and how without getting anyone mad? I live in California. If there's a bike lane, that makes it pretty easy. And in California, although it's technically illegal, most people do not care if you do not stop at the red light before making a right turn on a bike. It is possible that you'll still get a ticket if you do this, but most cops don't care. Thoughts on the Red Hook crit scene? I think it's great for fixed gears and for keeping people interested in the fixed gear world. I personally don't really care about competitive riding. What are your thoughts on the 6 Coup Urban Track? To answer that question, I have to give you my thoughts on Aventon, which you can find by clicking this card. Aventon and 6 Coup are owned by the same company, and if they're filling in fist-sized dents at the Aventon factory, that could be potentially harmful to the end consumer. It's possible that they're doing the same with 6 Coup. I don't recommend them, but I only have very little evidence to back this up. Again, check that video out if you're interested. Do you speak Tagalog? My parents only ever spoke English to me, so unfortunately, I could understand a few words and phrases in Tagalog, but I can't speak it. Will you go to the Philippines? I plan to go to the Philippines around spring of next year. Why do you wear pants when cycling and not cycling shorts? Don't you experience groin pain, especially on long rides? I never experienced groin pain because my bike fit is absolutely dialed into perfection. And don't worry, I'll make a full video on why I never wear cycling clothes, because I am now realizing that I am an anomaly. So what made you want to start a bike channel? I just wanted to make videos that I wanted to watch, and at that point in time, in 2015, nobody was making fixed gear videos on a consistent basis anymore. I knew that I wanted to be a YouTuber, and so everything just fit together perfectly. I wrote a contract that stated I owe my friend $50 if I miss an upload date to kick me off of my butt and actually start making those videos. And now, here we are. Do you have any plans to switch on freewheel bikes like a road bike or mountain bike in a certain age when your knees can't handle fixed gear bikes anymore? And if you have plans to change to a freewheel bike, which would it be, mountain bike or road bike? I'm not against freewheel bikes, it's just that I like fixed gear bikes the most. As for a mountain bike or a road bike, I say why choose, why not have both? Thoughts on the Spanish Polo and Bike Commander series? Seems like a good buy for the money. I agree, it does seem like a good buy for the money. I've never ridden one or seen one in person though, so take what I say with a grain of salt. What's better for you, toe clips and straps or clipless? I've been riding clipless almost exclusively on my bike for the past 4 years now, but at this point, because it's so rainy in Taiwan, I need to use waterproof shoes because I do a lot of walking as well as riding. And I don't want to get athlete's foot every time I just take my bike out for a spin, so I will be going back to toe clips and straps very soon. Have you done any activities like dancing or sports? I took a beginner track racing class in 2015. I really liked it. I would continue doing it, but I don't have access to a velodrome. And I did Taekwondo as a kid and absolutely hated it. Even at the young age of 8, I knew that I hated being told what to do. And in college, I was on a Christian Korean dance team. It sounds weird when I say it out loud, and now that I think about it, it was kind of weird. Can you speak to an obsession you have that does not pertain to cycling? I love food, and I love to cook. How do you choose your crank arm length? Hopefully if a bike shop is nice enough, they'll let you try out different crank arm lengths, and that's the best way to see which one you like. If you had to choose a beginner Fixie, what would you choose? If you're a beginner with a big budget, the Wabi Classic or Wabi Special. If you have a lower budget, Kilo TT Pro. You were an SF and never made a video about MASH SF, lives in Sacramento, and never talked about Velo Trap. Why? Didn't feel like it. I make the videos I want to make, and I didn't want to make those videos. How do you take your coffee? Black. Favorite meal while on a ride? Burritos. Worst bike crash? Somewhere in downtown Sacramento, I was riding bikes with 2 of my friends, and it was a street with railroad tracks, where the railroad tracks also went around the corner. I was the first to take the corner, and unfortunately, my wheel got caught in between the tracks, and I went over the handlebars. Banged and scraped up my knee and my arm pretty badly, and my wheel was completely knocked out of true. Thankfully, I was with my friend Min, who is really good at bike mechanics, and trued my wheel right on the spot, and we rode back home 15 miles after I was injured. How is it being a bike reviewer and commentator as a person of color, given that almost all other reviewers are white, or does it not matter much? My skin color is completely irrelevant to what I'm doing. I didn't even know that most bike reviewers were white until you mentioned it. Favorite bike for residents here is the granny bike. 3-speed, laid-back geometry, swept-back handlebars, basket in the front, gets the job done. You don't need to go fast here because everything is so close. What you need in Taiwan is something that you'll actually use no matter how old you are. Have you thought about trying to have, or do you have a job there? I do have a job here. I'm a full-time YouTuber. Thank you for your support. Without you, this would not be possible. In times of e-bikes, e-scooters, rentable bikes, will the fixed have its place in the future? I do think fixed gears have a place in the future because there's a huge difference between owning a bike and renting a bike. For some people who take ownership of their bike, it becomes part of our identities, and that doesn't really happen when you're just renting a bike, no matter how convenient it is. And because of that, there's always going to be a fixed gear culture, that human behavior of coming around an activity and owning gear related to that activity is always going to exist. What are your second and third favorite cycling disciplines? Does track cycling count? And cyclocross. Cyclocross people are just fun. Why Taiwan? Cost of living is reasonable as somebody who comes from California. Taipei is a huge city, which is what I like. And thirdly, The people here are super nice. It's really easy to make friends. If I'm being honest, I like the attention I get here as a native English speaker. So the rain's getting kind of crazy, so I'm gonna cut the AMA off right here and take some shelter. Thank you everybody who asked questions, and of course, thank you everybody for 50K subscribers. That is a mind-boggling amount of people that chose to hit that button just to hear me talk about bikes. With that, life is short, but don't make it shorter, so be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.